Okay, so you have learned programming for only 30 minutes, right? We go straight to Ruby. Can you please put your eyes on the screen, please? What do you see on the screen right now? What do you see?
Not sure what to do, run some examples.
Come again?
Not sure what to do, run some examples.
All right, you see something over here that's some text in it. And then what do you see on the right? Also another black box. Okay? Yours may have a white color over here. You can change the theme. All right, I change it to dark. So basically here on the left hand side it's like a text editor. Okay? On the right hand side, you actually cannot do that. You type something and you can only type one line at a time. So look at the screen first. Just follow. On the right hand side, this is the interactive mode. Here you can type 1, 2, 3, 4. These are numbers and Ruby understand them. If you say A, B, C, it's an undefined variable. Okay? If you say hello within the quotation mark, that's a string. Ruby understand that. A string is this green color. Right? A verb, this number is this green color. Okay, these are the values that Ruby understand. Now, if I say A is hello, it means now I assign the value hello to A. Okay? And if I type A again, now Ruby understands A. That's cool, right? So now if I say A plus world, what do you think you'll see?
Hello world.
Hello world as a new string. Okay? You say if you want to print, this is printing. Over there, Ruby just say, hey, I understand you. This is the value. But if you say put A, it will just print A to the screen. Then you see the white color. The white text is what you print out to the screen. The thing next to the arrow, Ruby just telling you that it understands. Oh, okay, that's what the value is. Okay, so let's look at this one and say, if I do B and press enter, what happens? It will just say the same thing I had up here. Undefined local variable A and then undefined local variable or method. You can ignore the method first for now. So C, same problem. But if I say A is B, well, obviously that doesn't seem right. I don't know what B is. But if I say B is A, then what? Then B is the same as A. A is hello and B is hello. Okay? Well, A will be world, B will still be hello. Because you copy the value, the string over. Okay? So on the right hand side, this is called an interactive mode where you can test things easily. So let's do something. How many hours are there in a day? How many minutes are there in an hour? How many minutes are there in a day? 24 times what? 60. And so you use this as your calculator, right? How many seconds are there in a day? It's getting something that only computer can do, not us. So how do you do it? You do this, and then you do something more, right? Multiply by what?
60.
60 because, so that's number of what? Seconds in a day? Makes sense, right? But if your friends look at this, they may not really understand what you're doing here. Okay? So maybe I do this. I say minutes in day, right? A day. Okay, that's a bit long to type as a variable, but that works. then multiply by 60. So that's the number of minutes in a day. How many seconds in a day? So you can even say seconds in a day equals what? Now you can type that. Minutes in a day multiplied by 60. So it's a bit easier to understand, right? And the cool thing is you can always use it again. Whoops. Seconds in a day. You can call it again. Right? You can print it to the screen. Remember the arrow here? If you type it, the arrow will say, okay, I'm Ruby and I understand what you're saying. Now what the value here is, it's not really printing the screen. But this white color text, that's you printing the text to the screen. In the interactive mode, it doesn't really make sense because you see all of this printed anyway. Let's learn what on the left hand side, that's the editor. And this is something that as a programmer you use every day, just like your Microsoft Word or Google Docs. So let's try that. I say name, I just, Adam Smith. What is name? It's a string. You can say name is a variable, and inside that variable there's a string, right? And if you run this code, you click here, run. This is the last line in the file. So you see this green color because Ruby is I remember the last thing I saw was name, so I'm just gonna say, okay, I see name here. I just print it out. But it's in green, it's different. But if you just say 1, 2, 3 here, it's a number. What happens if I click Command Enter here? You can type Command Enter, that's what I do, instead of clicking it. And you see 1, 2, 3. You see, Ruby just say, okay, I read everything and I'm just gonna tell you what I saw last. But what about my name? That's not good. It's lost. That's why printing is useful. You say, puts, and then you can print it out. Yeah? Now you can be more creative. You can say hello, space, plus name. And hello, Adam Smith. Yeah? You don't worry about this yet, but for some of you, you already know, so I mentioned it. You can put it inside using this syntax. And you see it soon. So if you get scared, only use this, that's fine. Okay? Here, there's a space here already, so you print hello, Adam Smith again. Okay?
It's exactly the same thing, right?
Yeah, they are the same thing. Right? What if you want to print Adam Smith, let's say 5 times? Yeah, it's as simple as that. Name times 5. Let's see. Look, that's not too bad. So Ruby is really expressive, right? It's like what you think it's doing, it does that. The string multiplied by 5. Some of you feel like, oh, I don't like it that, there's no space here. It becomes Adam Smithadam. So it's not nice. So how do you fix that? You're like, maybe I just add a space here and turn it into a new string and then multiply by 5. And then you're like, oh, that's cool. That looks a little bit better. Okay? So here you start practicing. You can get input by just typing things in here on the left-hand side. And then you press run and you see things on the right-hand side. Okay? So my exercise for you now is to basically perform. So here's a comment, right? Start writing in your code here. Write name, define a name variable for your name. So similar to Adam Smith there, define an age variable for your age. It doesn't have to be a real age. You can put 100 years old, I don't mind. And perform some calculation, like calculation. So for example, I want to sum all the number from 1 to 10, so I just do that. Okay? Try it. And don't forget to use puts to display the result on the right hand side. Okay? So I'm gonna give you guys a couple of minutes and I'll walk around. Loy and I will walk around to see how you guys are doing. One line at a time. When you write things on the left hand side, click the play button, or on your computer, Command Enter, or on Windows, Control Enter.
You didn't assign it. So on line 3, you said you just set it right.
Control Enter.
You have to store it somewhere.
That's everything. Type, press Control Enter.
So you have to put, for example,
See that? Okay, start playing to the screen. Bring a few things to the screen.
then you say puts. Okay, so each time you the purpose of that one is to test. So each time you have something new, you want to see if you got it correctly. Press control.
If it's too small, press
So
Command
you
plus.
see that
Or Control plus to make it bigger. Command plus on the back.
See, so like right now, if you made this right,
Also,
I don't know what 8 is.
I see some of you use the plus sign. Make sure you use the space character before and after. This is the progression. Maybe everything has a little bit.
So like right now, when you say 8 is this number, and it's equal to 5. So it's very important. You know, if you run into this
So try to write
it's
this
like
as
the program doesn't understand what something is that we're trying to use.
press sentence.
So you can see like
How many years old?
there's a book here. Okay, so it's just something
Good.
else, right?
You make it
The 5 figure,
You need to-
multiplication for me, and then say
or you need to
best location is here, all
Excellent.
it's a string so we can do a string test. So you put a string together. So compare a string to the screen. So the next line, say let's say just add it to make it bigger string. Let's combine strings. So let's say I'm in location. Yeah. So we're gonna put exactly. That's
If you already feel comfortable, you can combine things
thing is no location change.
into one long string like that, like line 10 on the board. Okay? Now I'm going to continue. You feel a little bit more comfortable now? I'm going to continue and do our number game again, the number of seconds thing again. So in Ruby, the variable names, we want to make them quite expressive. So if my task is how many hours are there in a year. Okay, that's the task. How do we do it? So that we feel that we're taking one step at a time. When you do this yourself, what do you think about first?
How many hours in a day?
Alright, so then you say day hours. That's one way to write it. How many hours a day in a day? 24. And then maybe you can say month hours is 24 times. So then you don't need 24 anymore. You need day hours times number of days. Alright? And then year hours is hour times 12. Okay? So all of these are variables. They're all different numbers. And now you can say there are, right, year hours in a year. And if you run that, you get this. Sounds good? So let's learn a little bit, not just multiplication. Let's learn how to divide. Does anyone know if what this means? Or what's the result?
6.
So that's why we need the computer. Hey, to be fair, this looks like a minus sign. So I prefer, every time I prefer typing it in a clear way. See the space around the operator? Okay? So let's look at this guy. What do you get? You get 3. What? But if you do this, then what do you get? So there are different types of number. This number 3, it's thinking, I think. It's an integer. And this number 10, it's a floating number, so decimal number with a dot in it. When you take a fixed number, it's an integer. If you take an integer and you divide by an integer, then you get an integer. That's why you get 3. Okay, so that's a little funny there. It depends on the language. Some language, they give you 3.3, but for Ruby, just remember, if you ever need to do a floating point decimal at the dot, or if 9 is a and then you do a divided by 3 and you're like, well, how do I get 3 point something? Let's say a is 10 and then a divided by 3. You cannot do 8.0, right? Can you? What does it say? Hey, no, it doesn't work. You can, however, we can say 8 multiplied by 1.0 and then you divide by 3. Well, to be comfortable with the numbers, most of the time right now, I only ask you to deal with integers. My question for you now is that if I have 24 hours, how many days are there?
365.
Are you sure?
240.
240 hours, sorry, not 24 hours. So let's say number of hours. I call this number of hours is 224. How many days is that? Are they? 10 days, because I divided by, remember this day hours thing? It's 10. Or of course you could just say 240 divided by 24, right? But I already defined this variable here, so I can use them. Okay? So there will be another lab exercise related to that. One final thing. And before you get to enjoy your lab, You have learned that you can do a string like this. Put hello world, it will just print the white string out, right? Do you know instead of put, you do get? And I just press enter, and then something is just hanging in there. It's waiting for your input. What? And then it returns a string. Okay, how useful is that? So we do put, hey man, how are you? Okay, so that's a string, that's our program. And then you say health equals get. Yeah? I don't know, maybe you call it health. And then the user now enter, I'm fine. Now health is a string that say I'm fine. And you can print health back out, I'm fine. Okay? There's one little weird thing this here. When you type get, the computer now wait for you to type, and anything you type will just get saved, right? Until you type the enter character. And when you type the enter character, it will save that enter character, and then everything else saved into one variable, return back to a variable. So for example, health here, and that's it. The get thing is done. So you get a string, it's an input by the user, but you have this extra thing at the end. The backslash n that's got a new line character is one thing. Okay, so it's I'm fine again. This is a string, right? Here, 1 backslash n, 2 backslash n, 3. That is a string. That's still a string, but if I print it, I'll get 3 lines. Okay? So that's how you represent a string, represent multiple lines in a single string. Now, because it's so common that I don't care about the final character here, okay? So they have something called gets, and then you can say dot chomp. It means I'm taking away the final new line character. So there's a chomp. We don't know why it is dot chomp yet. It's got a method, a chomp method. But let's check it out. Hello, there's a new line, dot chomp. It gives you just hello. And then you say hello, dot chomp. It gives you back hello. It only kills the new line character. So that's quite useful. So I'm going to write something like this. What's your name? And then name is gets.chomp. And then now I have to type my name, right? Neil Armstrong. And then you say, hey, welcome, right? Plus name. And you say, hey, welcome Neil Armstrong. Okay? With that, I'm going to let you enjoy doing the first lab. And here's the link to the lab. If you go to the Coder School Learning Portal, here, this is our first week. And here's the lab exercise. In this lab exercise, if you click on this link, okay, then you get to the this page. So what we're asking you to do is go into this REPL site where you can type Ruby code and start working on that lab inside this left-hand side. Complete the exercises. Okay, if you're new, only need to do the main task here. If you are experienced, you can do more. If you are new, do not do these tough questions. Go straight to milestone 2. And we want to see you progress and finish all 3 milestones before we move to the next lab. Okay? Let's get started.